Good afternoon. I'm going to discuss today for my lecture how to select non-toxic materials for your home renovation project. Now, these materials that are non-toxic are good for everybody, for the workman and for everyone who occupies the space, but of particular note, they're very good for people who have a lot of allergies and chemical sensitivities. Now, I guarantee you that most of you who are listening to this know more about home renovation and projects like that than I do. Certainly anybody who's a do-it-yourself person, or anybody who would even understand what DIY means. But I have gone through the process with my wife of starting our home renovation. And in particular, we've retained a consultant in the area of non-toxic products. And so through an arduous process, I've painfully learned some of the lessons of selecting materials that are not toxic. Now, if I were to tell you one sentence as a shortcut to this whole lecture, by listening to this one sentence, I think you could get half the value of everything I go over. And that is, when you buy products and materials, make sure they're biocide-free, insecticide-free, formaldehyde-free, and free of flame retardants. So that's pretty much most of the deal here. But now I'm going to get into approximately 14 different areas and what I've learned about in making the decisions to help find non-toxic products. The first area is lumber. And in the area of lumber, the main thing to take into consideration is that the lumber should be mold-free, it should be untreated, it should be fungicide-free, and preferably it should be not free of anti-sap treatment. Now, that is so commonplace that I've been told that that would be acceptable, but it's preferred not to be. Also, in this area, one might want to be aware of terpene materials that are in the wood, and that has to do with aroma and fragrance. So if one is sensitive to that, one should find wood that is not pine and that is preferably one of these three types in this order: maple, Douglas fir, and whitewood. Next, the area of plumbing supplies. Now, as you may know, there's two types of piping. One that goes away to a waste system, and one that comes in as a supply pipe. Now, for the waste system drain, the two main types are PVC and ABS, and both of them, I've been told, are quite acceptable. And in the piping that comes in as supply, the two main types are copper and PEX. And both of those are acceptable also. Copper, I've been told, is harder to install and more expensive, but PEX is fine, and it's actually a problem if there's chloramines that are treating your water. Copper is good in the circumstance of a cold climate. So ask your supplier about what's acceptable and what's common in these parts. Now, the next aspect would be the glue. And for PVC and for ABS, Gorilla Glue is acceptable. There are types of ABS black glue that are also acceptable. And for the piping away, the preferred choice would be a glue that is in the realm of plumber's glue. It's not recommended to use what they call pipe dope. So those are the recommendations there. For pipe assembly, it is recommended that anything is acceptable except Teflon. Non-Teflon is desired. And for pipe insulation, there was a recommended brand SPW. Now, in the area of electrical, there's very few restrictions at all regarding wiring as far as toxicity. The only recommendation is to follow code in that section of the country. Next area is ductwork. And our recommendation, we were putting in a new fan, is to use the existing ductwork. But if you're not, anything that's metal or flex metal is fine as long as it's not rubber. The fifth area would be the shower. And the recommendation we've gained is to use the Schluter-Keeter system as opposed to the mud-based system. And the advantages are that there's no sealant, no caulking, no backer board, and no shower pan is necessary. Next area would be drywall. And it's recommended to get certification as to the natural nature of the drywall. It's free of biocides. Different types that are acceptable would be from National Gypsum, but not U.S. Gypsum, and Georgia Pacific, although there are biocides in it, have been indicated to be safe for use. And it's recommended that the drywall not be exposed to air, like be in the top of the pile or in the bottom of the pile. And now for drywall assembly, there's discussion about the glue that should be used. And it should be what was recommended to be Merco M100 was recommended. And anything other than a mixed compound that's pre-mixed. Next is the area of mortar and thin set. And this is the area that's used with ceramic, tile, porcelain. And here the recommendation is to use Schluter-Keeter system, which would be non-hazardous. Next, grout. Grout is the filler in pre-made ceramic, etc. And the recommendation there is to use AFM for the grout. Now, discussion was held as to bathroom vanities and cabinets, and MDF, which is mild dense fiber board was the recommendation there. And for bathroom countertops, the recommendation is to use granite or Caesar stone, but not style stone, and quartz works just as well there. For paints and paint selection, the recommendation is to obtain VOC and non-VOC, low VOC and non-VOC paints, which are pretty commonplace now. And Ecos and Varios was suggested to us. Now, flooring is the last area, and for bathrooms, the recommendation is for porcelain and tile. And for anything that's make sure it's not treated or has biocide. And for bedrooms and other rooms, the recommendation is hardwood or bamboo or porcelain, but to avoid carpeting and to avoid pre-engineered flooring or vinyl plank. So those are some of the major recommendations that I've received in my travel along the journey of this renovation to be done in a non-toxic way. Thank you.